We've talked about, the problem, the supply, demand constraints. I think one of the biggest pieces is the problem of running out of energy and to be dependent on one source has really dug in. Everybody sees that front and center now. From a national security perspective, from what happens to, your manufacturing base and things like that. The solutions aren't very good because I suppose you can continue to import from either Qatar or the U.S., but again, there's national security that comes into play. If we don't have supplies, we have a problem, and so we probably have an interest in securing that. Now, the EU hasn't been getting their own energy out, and as you said, there's lots of good pockets all over. But now with this redesignation, and then again the like I said, the punch in the gut of realizing how big that problem is, I could see there being a big push, and I think that's what MCF is doing, trying to bring new natural gas markets or new natural gas to the markets in Europe. I mean, fill us in on how you see that.
Well, I explored Europe 10 years ago, and the opportunities now are much, much better. As you mentioned, the regulations and whatnot 10 years ago were a lot more extreme, and it took years literally to get a project done and a well drilled. Current administrations and whatnot, we have a partner in Austria who got a well drilled and permitted in 6 months. Which would have taken years in the past. So there are some real changes in the attitude in Europe and in the regulatory environment, which is going to help us along. MCF Energy was a newly formed public company to aggressively pursue projects focused on the development of natural gas resources within Europe. As I'd mentioned, because Europe has been drunk on energy from Russia for decades, exploration for energy resources within European boundaries has been underfunded and, quite frankly, ignored for over 40 years. The wild thing is because of this, MCF is a first mover on many high-quality projects that have been around for a while that just couldn't get funded. Me being involved with the European community for, over 10 years, has allowed me to not only be involved with a number of these projects and identify them, but watch them just sit there and mold over the years because there was just no funding.
Yeah.
Well, now, we are coming in and we're high grading and we're picking the best projects to develop within the European Union because, like I said, the EU is suddenly realizing that the best energy security you can have are those resources which are found within their own borders.
Right.
So as I mentioned, MCF is a first mover to develop on these projects, and it's our goal to become the company for investments, the kind of go-to company for investments in gas exploration and production in the European Union.
Yeah.
So
I love that. It kind of goes against, it's that contrarian play, which is, buy what's hated sort of a thing. And so natural gas has been hated in Europe, and now we've seen the problems from that. But also I like to play the trend. And so we're kind of at this interesting point where it's still kind of hated, but yet the EU just changed the designation. And so now we have the trend on your side as well. I like that. I had met, how this got onto my radar and why this kind of set up this interview is I was at a Vancouver Resource Investor Summit speaking, and I met Ford, and Ford is one of the founders. He's had, I think like $3 billion exits in the energy market, specifically over in Europe. And then, you have General Wesley Clark from NATO Supreme Commander. I think he's knighted or something like that over there. So massive connections over there. Is that a big piece of how you think you're actually able to pull this off over in Europe, connecting all those?
Well, that's a big part of it. Ford Nicholson and Wesley, General Wesley Clark, I've been involved with them in my last two ventures, and so really? I knew them well. Yeah, I knew them very, very well. And the other people involved, which are also very, very large players in the energy and mineral markets, these are publicly available names: Gordon Keep and also. A number of other, noted energy investors, are involved with MCF Energy. And really, if they had not been involved with this, I wouldn't be involved with it. Frank Justra, for instance, owns over 10% of our company.
Yeah.
He's a big investor. In fact, from the numbers that I last saw, over 70% of the shares of MCF Energy are held by insiders. So, they believe in what we're doing, and they believe that we can have an impact on the energy market, not just within Europe, but in other areas. But we're focused on Europe at the moment because that's where the need is. That's where the opportunities are.
Mm-hmm. So, it seems challenging, but I guess, like you said, with this redesignation, it starts to open this up. Now you said now there's funding there. So the goal is, I guess, and you tell me, but is to kind of connect some of these natural gas resources and get it flowing from within the European Union directly. And I think you're working in Germany and Austria. Is that correct? And so if Germany can get its own natural gas in Germany, it can sort of insulate its manufacturing sector and potentially save itself. I mean, is that kind of what the goal is? What's the plan?
Yeah, that's the idea. Well, the plan is to do just that. I mean, we're reviewing projects in not just Germany and Austria, but all over the European theater. We've gone as far east as Azerbaijan, as far west as Spain. We've looked at projects in offshore UK, and we've also looked as far south as North Africa, with the idea that the pipelines going across the Med will get energy into Europe. The two projects that you're referring to, the first one in Austria is a very large geologic structure called an anticline you can see from space. I mean, this thing is massive. It's over 100 square kilometers. There's gas in the area. There's an old well that was drilled that produced gas. We're going to step up higher on the structure and drill a well here, hopefully by this September, which could prove up, 500 billion cubic feet of natural gas, and even more if the conditions are there, which of course could have a good impact on the energy scene in Austria. We're only 18 kilometers from a pipeline, so the idea is that that we can bring that gas to market pretty quickly. Our German assets, we actually purchased a privately held German company called Genexco. Not because just for the gas resources which they've got between 85 to 100 BCF of proven natural gas resources, but also for their prospect inventory. The staff of Genexco had been exploring Germany for almost 40 years, so they kind of sort of knew where all the bodies were buried, if you know what I mean. And we've got 4 or 5 concession applications in right now to the ministries for additional resources, which we'll be developing within Germany. So as I mentioned, it's a prospect-rich environment with some very good prospects, and we're focusing a lot of our effort in these areas to bring a quick return. In other words, a quick high impact to the market and also create a lot of shareholder value.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we need a quick solution, that's for sure. Energy is vital to life. I mean, you have to have energy, so we're going to have to fix that problem. And when we go through this turmoil, one of the best ways that people have protected their investment portfolio has been gold for 5,000 years. And in the banking crisis like we're seeing and the world breaking apart, gold could be one of those trusted places. And, for me, I've been using a company called Universal Coin and Bullion because you want to make sure you're getting your gold from a trusted dealer. There's a lot of fake gold going around these days. And so for me, I like Universal Coin and Bullion. And the founder, Mike Fulgen, has a very special offer for my listeners to get 1 ounce gold American coin, the most popular gold coin in the world, at its dealer cost and only a 3% markup over spot price, plus free shipping. Call 1-800-UCB-GOLD. Again, 1-800-UCB-GOLD, or go online to universalcoin.com/Mark Moss. Or give them a call, mention my name, and you're going to get that special offer on the 1 ounce gold coin, and it all ships for free. Now, if you've just been tuning in, you're listening to The Mark Moss Show. We've been sitting down with James Hill. He is the CEO of MCF Energy. The ticker is MCF. And they have a solution for the natural gas or just the energy problem over in Europe. Check them out on their website for more information. They're doing amazing things. I'm paying attention to them, and you should as well. Again, that's MCF Energy. Ticker symbol is MCF. And that's what I got for you today. Thanks so much for listening.